Innovating Education Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.
Brazil is now the world's sixth largest economy, although per capita income at around 8,000 euros remains relatively low. So when it comes to education, the country isn't always scoring goals. With social segregation in schools, low budgets for primary and secondary education, and limited access to higher education, could shortcomings in educational provision hobble the country's economic boom? In this report, we take a look at the overall picture of education in Brazil.
From the crowded skyline to the poor and dangerous outskirts of Sao Paolo. After the economic boom, education is still one of the country's Achilles heels. The gap between public and private schools still remains huge, and only 43% of the population goes on to secondary level. For 13-year-old George, his school in the Jardim Cambara district is much more than a place of learning.
The school is very important to me because it helps me during the week. It helps me to build my future and to get an education, to learn to respect people, to go for a job interview in the future and to speak correctly. And it helps my development and my reading and my writing.
For some kids, the classroom is their only escape from poverty, but public schools in Brazil have lots of problems, mainly a lack of money and resources. Classrooms are full and teachers are badly paid. Since the military dictatorship of the 1960s, public education has made little progress.
Brazil is a very unequal country, which is reflected in education. In political terms, education is still a very recent issue. We've advanced in terms of universal access, but quality is still a big challenge. Like public schools, private schools are very hit and miss. There are very good ones and very bad ones, like in public schools. So there's a challenge for Brazil to further regulate the private sector.
Colégio Vertice is ranked as one of the most excellent Brazilian private schools. The monthly fee is around 700 euros.
Here you can see teachers are really good, so you can have a very good exchange with them, and you really know what you're learning. This improves confidence.
Since last year's protests, the government remains under pressure to tackle the huge inequalities in education. Many want education, not football, to be the #1 priority.
So, the good news is that progress has been made, with many more children now in primary schools and enrollment rates on the rise. But what about later on? Let's find out what's happening at university level.
It's early morning at Rio de Janeiro's Federal Rural University, an hour's drive from the state capital. At 104 years old, it's one of Brazil's oldest universities. This former College of Agronomics now offers numerous courses. After 5 years of study, the big day has arrived for Talita.
It's a very attractive place. We're going to miss it. We enjoyed it a lot while we were here.
As these students leave, others arrive. Young people are here from around the country, a sign that Rio's Federal Rural University is growing as never before. In 8 years, the number of students has doubled to more than 10,000. An expansion the university's founders would never have dreamt of. Now it's aiming to be the best in Brazil.
Our budgets doubled over the past 8 years in all areas, in operational costs, electricity, telephone, water, paper, pens, but also in terms of investment, new construction, new equipment, wages. All that has also doubled. For us to develop, we had to invest, and that is what we have done.
Técnicos e dos nossos professores também mais que dobrou. Claro que esse investimento ele teve preço e esse preço foi pago.
Vai ter gabines para estudos individualizados.
In another development, a new library is under construction.
Nós temos
We still have problems with accommodating everybody, but they will be resolved as we go along. We still haven't put all these difficulties behind us, but we have a better social mix of young people.
De novos alunos na universidade.
In Brazil, almost 75% of third-level education is private. an imbalance which the Brazilian government hopes to change with huge investment in universities and with the support of the private sector. But for one maths teacher, low education standards among school leavers is a serious problem.
You know, the standard of pupils arriving here from secondary school is still deteriorating. We have trouble getting the required level to make good professionals.
Igor represents his colleagues on the General Students' Committee. He shows us the modest room that he shares with 5 friends. For him, Brazilian education needs to head in a different direction.
For years, the government's looked on education as a commodity without maintaining it. They think that quantity is the same as quality. We'd like to see more students trained in Brazilian universities, but with quality as well as quantity.
For educators and students, the midterm report on Brazil's third-level education is much improved, but could do better.
And finally, while Brazil is enjoying a summer of football frenzy, let's see how learning the beautiful game can be more than just a fun way to keep fit. And we're not talking about the dream of becoming a world-class footballing hero. Let's take a look.
In the favela of Morro dos Prazeres, one of Rio's poorest slums, football is all around. Safe Sport is a social project giving free skills training and supported by the British Council, local authorities and Brazilian police. 3 years ago, these scenes were unimaginable because drug trafficking, as it does in all of the city's favelas, dominated everything.
Before, this was a war zone, abandoned by the state, an area now regained by the state. Through sport, we try to keep these kids occupied, give them an education and encouragement for the future.
Polícia Pacificadora is a special police unit created in 2011 with the aim of eliminating drug trafficking from the favelas. Thanks to the Safe Sport project, some 200 kids can now not only play football under police protection, but also benefit from the officers' experience of life.
We want to bring the police closer to local people who've always regarded them with distrust. We want them to get to know each other and discover common goals. For young people, I think the most amazing thing about this project is that they can dream of becoming something in life, and they can have different references. It's a cool project that helps a lot of people to get away from dangerous things, to improve their lives, and to not get involved in bad things.
With the World Cup, the role of sport, particularly football in education, is a big issue in Brazil. In addition to the free coaching, it's hoped the experience will teach them a lot more than just football skills.
We want to teach them that it's possible to be happy without destroying themselves and by respecting people, treating people kindly. So we use sport as a stimulus because our children, boys and girls, are passionate about it, specifically football, and we exchange ideas.
Those ideas extend to making your community a better place for everyone, with police and locals all joining in the work.
Well, that's all we have time for this week. Do let us know your experiences of education in Brazil or anywhere else for that matter. We always love hearing from you via our social media pages. Goodbye.
Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.